The Phoenix Journals are intended as a real-time commentary on current events. How current events relate to past events and relationships of both to the physical and spiritual destinies of mankind. All of history, as we now know it, has been revised, rewritten, twisted, and tweaked by selfishly motivated men to achieve and maintain control over other men. When one can understand that everything is comprised of energy and that even physical matter is coalesced energy, and that all energy emanates from God's thought, one can accept the idea that the successful focusing of millions of minds on one expected happening will cause it to happen.
Thank you.
If the many prophecies made over thousands of years are accepted, these are the end times, specifically the year 2000, the second millennium, etc. That would put us in the sorting period and only a few short years from the finish line. God has said that in the end times would come the word to the four corners of the world so that each could decide their own course toward or away from divinity based upon truth. So, God sends his host's messengers to present that truth. This is the way in which he chooses to present it, through the Phoenix Journals. Thus, these journals are truth, which cannot be copyrighted. They are compilations of information already available on Earth, researched and compiled by others, some, no doubt, for this purpose, which should not be copyrighted. Therefore, these journals are not copyrighted, except Sapapu Odyssey, which is fiction.
Thank you.
The first 60 or so journals were published by America West Publishing, which elected to indicate that a copyright had been applied for on the theory that the ISBN number, so necessary for booksellers, was dependent upon the copyright. Commander Heton, the primary author and compiler, insisted that no copyrights be applied for, and, to our knowledge, none were. If the truth is to reach the four corners of the world, it must be freely passed on. It is hoped that each reader will feel free to do that, keeping it in context, of course. Chapter 1, Rec Number 1, Hotan Sun, September 3rd, 1989, 6:45 a.m. Year 3, Day 018 Sun, September 3rd, 1989. Commander Hotan introducing Commander Ashtar Hotan present. Greetings on this beauteous Sunday morn.
Present. Greetings on this beauteous Sunday morn. With me today is Commander Ashta. You have been aware of his presence for several days, but he graciously waited the finishing of the manual segment. He wishes to speak to you once, and I would most appreciate it, Dharma, if you would entertain him. Lessons FO receivers MT% NN11s who receive from us of the higher frequencies frequently cannot relate to the fragmentation of ones of us. Ones will say, oh, well, the Haton I receive from is a different aspect of the one from which Dharma receives. When we are ready to combine instructions or correspondence, there is no separation at all. Very often the thought format and wording is identical. If ones will not accept the sharing, then you can be sure there is trouble afoot. Either ones are holding to their own ego apartheid, or they fear their own messages might not be perfection. Ones who pronounce, on a regular basis, dates, hours, events in unbending detail, for general publication are ego-bound. Ones who speak not but generalized gobbledygook and pour sweet syrup over the spectators are not always pronouncing the original thought projection of the Sibur involved, but are cleaning it up to fit their human need and perception of that Sibur teacher. So be it. You must look to all facets for truth. If you pay attention, It matters not to you. Much truth comes forth. You must be insightful. We are here to participate in a most gargantuan task. There is no time left for even the consideration of building church houses and temples, as a instance. The only temples you will build are those underground facilities to save the vehicles of God's already built temples. God is perfectly capable of building and creating his own temples and has done so, albeit the buildings get in great disrepair. If a receiver's ego cannot submit to obscurity, or hoards the lessons and messages unto one outlet for gain or personal commendation, that one is in error. You see, all can be separated in a most practical way through good business corporations. If one claims exclusivity, even if that one is exclusive, there is a gross problem, for that one is trying to keep another from seeking truth elsewhere. We of the higher realms will never declare one. We would never place such a burden on a human worker as receiver, nor would we deprive other searchers, who cannot procure a specific receiver's writings, the ability to find truth. Just suppose Hayton pronounces that Dharma is the only one. She would immediately be set up and murdered. Further, in view of her trustworthiness, she would finally go mad with the burden of such responsibility. That, dear ones, is left to a Christ who might choose to walk your plane. One who claims to be a Christ is unsound indeed and most foolish. I will tarry no longer, for I wish to have you receive of Ashta you have many times in the past, and I want you to become comfortable and familiar with his energy, for he is critically involved otherwise, and we respect his time constraints. Thank you, Keela.